Okay, we're live. Hopefully this works. Clock's ticking, so I assume that it is. I'm going to go through the European or midweek soccer slate, Champions League, Europa League, and also there's a couple of matches in Spain. Don't see anything else out there, so that's what we're rolling with. I am the real _G Warner on Twitter. Hit me up on there, hit the follow button, subscribe on here on YouTube, do whatever you want to do. I try to do these bi-weekly. No, two a week. That's not bi-weekly. Anyway, going to stop the small talk as hopefully people are coming in. And let's start with Champions League. I think that's the biggest one to go over at the moment. Starting on Tuesday, so recording this Monday, April 26th in the U.S., probably late night in Europe, but I don't even know if people care about me in Europe, so probably don't care about me here anyway. Real Madrid hosts Chelsea, currently giving a quarter of a goal. All the juice on the Chelsea side. Sets up to be a pretty defensive matchup. And I think I had some questions about this line initially. I thought Chelsea even might be favored to advance. But I think playing in Madrid, the first leg is important because that really sets the standard. Road goals are really important in Champions League and all these European two-leggers because they count for like basically 1.5 goals. And whether that's worth it or not without fans, that's not for me to debate today. But ultimately, I think that makes the game plan a little bit different. So Real Madrid's goal, and I think their way they've been playing all season, is trying to restrict goals going in their net. Sergio Ramos hasn't played in a while. He keeps coming in, coming back, getting hurt, going out again. I don't think he played this weekend. Rafael Varane did play, and it looks like Real Madrid's defense has been really good across all La Liga play. Say what you want about La Liga and their lack of resources and maybe the league going down, but Real Madrid, and really without a ton of spectacular young talents that have been doing a ton, as all their goals seem to come through Karim Benzema, but ultimately their defense has been Loctite, rock solid, and it's going to be really hard for Chelsea to score as they really haven't been scoring in any sort of competition, whether it's Europe or in even the home domestic league. Had a 1-0 victory against West Ham this weekend from basically a counterattack or at least a transition play, cut back that Timo Werner finally scored. Had a bunch of other chances, didn't convert those. Credit them for the chances that they created, but they can't seem to score. And that's going to be a real problem because I don't think Real Madrid is going to have the problems that West Ham does. West Ham was playing like a backup center back and other things as well, whereas Real Madrid has, most storied club maybe in Europe, arguably, certainly, at least in the conversation. They are in a position where they're not going to give up a ton of goals. And so, and that should be Real Madrid's modus operandi for this match, is they really want to go for goals on the road, which you've got to think that Tuchel for Chelsea wants to score on the road because that's really what got them through against Atletico Madrid. At least first round, first leg, whatever, put them in pretty good shape to advance when they play the second leg at home. Here they are again on the road. I think that's an advantage. Anytime you're on the road, especially with no fans, that's your time to kind of make hay while the sun is shining. If I can use a farming reference. Anywho, so Chelsea, are they going to be able to score? And that's the real question because they're getting a quarter of a goal, 0-0. They win half a bet, which is not nothing, and it certainly is important, especially because Real Madrid's not going to be really putting themselves out and pushing real hard for a goal at home because they don't mean as much as they do on the road. At least that's my theory, and that's what I think. Zidane, anytime you question him, whether it's the lineup, whether it's injuries, whatever, what have you, as long as they have some able bodies, which certainly beginning of this La Liga campaign, they had a lot of injuries and went down and had some trouble winning matches, lost a few, et cetera, et cetera. But even now, he's not that healthy. The team's not that strong, and he seems to coach his way out of trouble all the time. So he's won a bunch of Champions Leagues already for good reason. He deserved them, it appears, probably with much better teams, but he's shown that he can manage. And Tuchel, on the other hand, seems like a real manager. Chelsea needed that, and that's probably why they're in the semis. I don't know Frank Lampard could have gotten them here, nor could have put them in Champions League position. Was in the fight for sure in domestic play and certainly have the bank balance or the money spent on the team to compete. But it looks like there are two real managers here, and there's not a huge amount that I like. Tuchel got a lot of for not winning all the matches at PSG, though there certainly were some. There's a lot of politics and things like that go on with that club. and certainly managing egos and players and all that sort of stuff is not the easiest thing in the world. Doesn't seem to be that difficult at Chelsea, and he's had the ability to tinker with lineups and basically play whoever he wanted, rotate like crazy. And I think that's been good for keeping players healthy, but I don't think it's been good for establishing an offensive rhythm. So if you're going to make a pick on this game, so Chelsea's a quarter goal underdog. I'm an underdog player, so that's the side I'd be looking for. And I think Real Madrid wants to play relatively tight at the back and won't be taking as many chances up front. So how are they going to score? Likely using their wings, speed on the wings. Maybe Toni Kroos, who didn't play this weekend, but should be back for this match. Set piece, Casemiro, always great off of corner kick, headers in the box. And then Karim Benzema is great at now creating. He certainly can score goals, but he's also been finding teammates recently. So he's the key. And another French, coming from PSG, does Chelsea have the center back rotation to go after Benzema and take him out of the match? I don't really know that he does, because he seems to sink around and slither wherever he needs to be. And on the other side, if Chelsea can score, I think one goal is enough for them to cover this quarter, as I don't know Real Madrid's can get more than one, barring penalties, handballs, all those sort of things, which are completely crazy, and we'll see what happens. But I think Champions League has been a lot more stingy with penalties, following kind of more of a German model, or what's now looking like an English model, not giving a ton of penalties, whereas in Spain they give a penalty for coughing on somebody or even just breathing. But how does Chelsea score that goal? So they're probably not going to have as many chances in transition, counterattack, unless there's a big mistake, which certainly is possible. But I would think that big mistakes by accomplished players at semifinal level of Champions League is probably relatively equal on both sides. Definitely trust Courtois more than Edouard Mendy. However, Courtois certainly has some mistakes in him, as almost anybody does. They're human. But my interest is Chelsea right now, with all the juice on their side. If it falls to pick them, which it may and probably deserves to be, probably not much for me to do there, but certainly interested in them, as I think this will be a really tight dogfight, really to try to keep as few road goals going in from the Real Madrid side. But Chelsea might be pushing a little bit forward to try to score that road goal, and it might leave them a little bit in jeopardy at the back. Anytime Benzema can wiggle free, or a Rodrigo, or whoever's really starting on the wings for Real Madrid, it's almost like it doesn't matter who it is. They can somehow find a way. So interested in Chelsea, but we'll move on, as I've already spent 7.5 minutes on this one. Next is PSG and Man City. So there were some rumors about Mbappe picking up a knock, or I guess that's not a rumor, that's true. Pochettino said as of yesterday, Sunday, that he was likely to play. So I don't think that he's going to be missing. And currently Man City is giving a quarter of a goal on the road, having to play their whatever cup, Carabao Cup, EFL Cup championship on the weekend, beat Tottenham, played, while certainly wasn't. So in terms of the order of the 4 championships that Man City was going for, Premier League, I think, was first or second, 1A to 1B of Champions League. Those are the most important. Premier League is pretty much wrapped up. So they haven't had to worry too much about that. And I've been rotating people, I believe, for Champions League. Carabao Cup, they won the final, but they didn't exactly play their strongest lineup. I feel like Fernandinho, when he's in, he's there kind of to defend more than anything. And so they're really kind of going all out for this Champions League. And I think they did play De Bruyne this past weekend, and he set up the goal that they scored. Their defense has been rotated quite a bit, so I don't know that there's going to be too many issues, though it'll be a quick turnaround for Ruben Diaz, who's been playing everything that's important to Pep. Maybe just every match in general, but I think he's someone that you want to look at for legs potentially being tired. But ultimately, Man City, what they want to do is, and what I think they're going to do, is possess the ball and try to create opportunities. They don't really have that number 9 forward that they can go to try to score goals, and that's been really lacking and really hurt them offensively this season. Their defense has been Loctite, and that's, I think, what's propelled them to where they are. PSG didn't play great really a lot of this season, but have really done really well in Champions League. I think it's also something they put way above Ligue 1 play as in terms of order of importance. And I think it's worked out pretty well for them so far, even going through a new manager, losing Tuchel and bringing in Pochettino. doing like whatever they did with COVID early in the season where they're missing a ton of players and they've still somehow are sitting right in the race for a league. Maybe that's not a surprise and they should be winning by a lot, but whatever, leaving that behind. They want to counter, and I think this is a good setup for them because Man City wants to possess the ball or likely will possess the ball, and PSG is going to try to use Mbappe, Neymar, other speedsters that they have to try to get on breaks, get on counterattacks, and go score. Same sort of thing. Road goals will matter a lot here. PSG's defense, I think, has been all over the place in league play, but has been pretty strong based on their offense scoring a ton more than they allow, getting big leads and sometimes giving up some goals that way, or basically when they had Barcelona pretty much down and out after leg one, their defense wasn't great. Keylor Navas being awesome at penalty saves is also important. And they've been resting him a little bit to try to make sure he's fresh for this competition. Currently, most of the juice is on Man City right now, giving a quarter. I don't know this will climb to a half, but if PSG is getting a half of a goal at home, where a draw wins me full unit, I think it's going to be hard for me to resist. And I really think even getting a quarter is hard for me to resist. Man City's certainly great, can beat anybody, but they've shown some weaknesses lately. I mean, big goalkeeping error lost them an FA Cup semifinal against Chelsea, and Ederson should certainly be in there, so that won't be an issue, and arrested Ederson at that because he didn't play on the weekend. Stefan ended up winning the Carabao Cup. But ultimately, they're in a position where they're giving at least a portion of a goal, and I don't think it's going to fall to pick them based on what the line's doing right now and kind of how it's sat. So I'm really interested in PSG, like them as a counterattacking side, and I think this match sets up perfectly for that type of strategy. Certainly could concede and end up losing, but that's kind of how these things go, and certainly could happen. But I like the circumstances, the setup. PSG likely wants to counterattack. That's going to happen. They want to sit back and prevent road goals. That works for the quarter goal underdogs. So a lot of that looks good to me. Now, looking at lines from the first time, it looked like PSG was actually holding most of the juice at that point. This was weeks ago, whenever the last legs were played. I haven't really been following it that closely because I've been focused on domestic stuff. But Chelsea was also, so I had them both at minus 115. So a little bit more of the juice on the underdogs for both of these, Chelsea and PSG. Looks like Chelsea's caught a couple dollars since then, or a little bit more at BetOnline versus Real Madrid, whereas PSG has not been getting as much money. Man City's been catching in. That's why they're almost climbing to a half goal favorite. So very interested in the dogs. I guess if a gun to my head, shouldn't be surprised at anyone that's been watching these all season, but I think more interested in PSG than Chelsea, but I think there's some value in both of them as underdogs in what should be a great competitive match on both sides, where I think both underdogs are in a good position. Chelsea to try to score some road goals, and PSG really to try to sit back. And I think that's part of why I like Chelsea better. So moving to Europa League, Villarreal currently a pick 'em at home to Arsenal. All the juice on the Villarreal side looks like it's climbing to a quarter. And I think that's a change. So references right away. It was a similar number. It was pick 'em initially, but Arsenal was about even money. So some money is coming on Villarreal a little bit, which I think is a bit of a surprise to see against an English Premier League team, a La Liga side, to be catching anything, though they're at home. And I think Arsenal's injuries up front can explain that. Aubameyang with malaria doesn't seem to be a factor. Lacazette also hurt, took a big shot a couple weeks ago and hasn't played. So it might be a situation where Arsenal, who looked pretty toothless offensively without their forwards, which I didn't think was going to be that big of an issue against Everton, but ultimately Everton does play a bunch of defenders, sometimes 5 or 6 in a lineup at once, and that's a problem potentially. But ultimately, I thought that Arsenal would still be able to create, and they didn't show that they could. However, as an underdog here, and likely this moving to a quarter, definitely got to be interested in the more expensive Arsenal club. Villarreal, I think, is a middling club in La Liga, but have played really well and certainly have some of the tools, including one of their best strikers in league plays, scored a ton of goals for Villarreal, and likely, I would think, based on their stature, probably someone that they're going to sell in the near future, hopefully not this season. Coming up, but he might be gone soon. I don't know. Certainly, if he's going to star for Spain's national team this summer in the Euro competition, his name's escaping me at the moment, but whatever. So I guess as an underdog player, Arsenal, as they climb to a quarter goal underdog, would be interesting. Villarreal, they had to play Barcelona this weekend, which wasn't great timing for them, I don't think, but ultimately were really competitive, scored the first goal, opened the scoring with a good move from a speedster on the wing who had faked Ter Stegen out, but ended up conceding 2 goals. One was a really bad back pass that Griezmann easily intercepted. He played really well this weekend, but unrelated to this topic or this chat. Villarreal, I think, can be competitive, and I'd like them as an underdog. Easy for me to say, and that's certainly not going to be happening in this first leg. And we'll see what happens. Their defense, they want to play with teams, and they want to really kind of get up and go and try to score goals. I don't know that that's great to be a weaker side and want to be in that position, especially in a championship type of event and a European event with Arsenal, a much bigger club, but that's how they do it. Unai Emery certainly will have some revenge on his mind, but he's not on the pitch, and he's not really doing too much besides instructing his players. And I don't think he's going to change any sort of game plan because of that revenge. Next is Manchester United hosting Roma. Currently, Man United giving a goal at home to Roma, and Roma's been really struggling in league play. They've had some goalkeeping issues and have been kind of rotating keepers all season, but lately in domestic play have been bad. And I don't really know what to say more than that getting a full goal doesn't really seem like enough for me, unfortunately. So United, I think, leave a lot to be desired. They seem to be best when they're counterattacking and trying to use their pace to score. I don't know that they score reliably enough to be giving a full goal to a good side, but I don't think Roma is one of those. Roma got pretty fortunate to get through Ajax from the Dutch league, which is, I don't think, judging that they should have potentially, there's an argument that they could have been eliminated in the quarterfinals to a Dutch team doesn't put them in a really good position to play well against Manchester United. Now, they want to score a goal on the road to get that type of advantage, and that certainly would be helpful. Manchester United is certainly not perfect defensively and have shown they can leak goals late in matches as well. There's a lot of insurance in losing by a goal, but at the same time, I think if Roma is down 1-0, maybe that's sufficient for them and they're satisfied. But I do think that they might want to push to get that road goal. Certainly to get a draw 1-1 or something like that would almost be an ideal scenario at Old Trafford in Manchester. But ultimately, I think they got to be really careful about giving up that second. Thus, they sit back and make Manchester United try to get 2 against a pretty solid defense, which Manchester United certainly could do because Roma's had a lot of defensive deficiency, play 3 at the back, as most of Italy does. And I think that puts them in a position where they're either going to have to sit back with 5 at the back with all their wing backs, and that might leave not a lot of space, but certainly will stifle any offense. And I'm not sure that sets up for a position I want to be, as I don't think Rome is very strong. Now, just to confirm from earlier, so Roma, last time I had checked, was a 3/4 goal underdog with all the juice on the Manchester United side. Looks like since that's happened, it's crossed to that almighty 1 goal, which is a pretty big move. I think one of the few key numbers in the sport, 1, 2, maybe, I'm not sure, but definitely 1, I think might even be the only key number in soccer. But I'm not sure that Rome, and this is weird because whenever I see a team getting +1, I think, oh man, that's a really great position to back them. They'll probably lose by a goal, but I'll get the 2-hour sweat in and get my money returned to me when they lose by a single goal. But I'm not sure. I think there's plenty of risk that it gets worse than that, and that this just might be 2 teams of way different classes, with Roma really struggling to even get into your Europa League spot in the Italian Serie A. So I don't have a lot of good things to say about them, unfortunately. Then moving to Spain, as there's a midweek match, I think this is the only other of the major leagues that are playing. Athletic Club off a huge win against Atletico Madrid, who had been leaking oil and certainly has been playing great. Athletic Club played some backups sort of and are sitting middle of the table without much they can do the rest of the season. But they played really well, took it to them right away, took a lead early, maybe a fortunate lead, but great header off a deflection, and then ended up giving up a goal, a really lucky header for Atleti, and then came back and scored again to win, I think, in deserved fashion in a match they deserved to win. So they've been playing really well, and they're hosting Valladolid, who is a great defensive side. And at least they sit back. They like to hit you on a counter, and that's certainly going to be a possibility here because Athletic Club is a defensive side themselves. They want to sit back, not necessarily as defensively as Valladolid does, because almost nobody does. But Athletic Club is going to have to possess the ball and probably will be going for 3 points, which puts them in a position to potentially kind of overuse their offense because they're most of the time they want to be a little bit more defensive. And I think that puts Valladolid in a really good position, though they do have a ton of relegation pressure on them right now, sitting maybe 17th, I think, after choking away a point against Cadiz this weekend. Took a 1-0 lead pretty early, gave up a second goal, kind of trash off a set piece corner that ended up getting pushed all over the place and finally kind of bundled in. Currently getting half of a goal on the road at San Mamés with most of the juice on the Athletic Club side. Maybe that'll climb a little bit after people see that they had a good win against Atletico Madrid and are on certainly shorter rest as that was the last match of the weekend. And this is a 1:00 Eastern time start on Wednesday. So interest in Valladolid, hopefully can get a little bit more than that half, but I think even getting half is enough as they'll be dug in as much as they can be. Athletic Club might be able to play some of their starters that they benched for this weekend's match with much fresher legs than they would be. But like Iñaki Williams, their speedster, came in the second half and certainly was used as much as they could use him. So we'll see what happens. But I'm interested in that side. And the next one is Barcelona hosting Granada. Barca is playing so well, probably are going to win La Liga. I think are in the lead now after winning on the weekend against Villarreal and Atletico Madrid didn't to keep pace. But if they win this match, I think Barcelona takes over and they have a pretty easy schedule the rest of the way. So I don't know. Can't imagine that they're an underdog to win the La Liga title anymore. But that's certainly something I'd look for if I can find it, and probably will after I sign off from this podcast or whatever stream. Granada, on the other hand, they've not played much defense. They're a really good side and are good at scoring goals, but they struggle to prevent conceding. And Barcelona is like the perfect team to get any open space, which Granada will give. Currently seeing Granada as a 2.25 goal underdog. All the juice on their side, but that's still a huge number. And those type of spreads are just massive, especially for a decent, like middling, I think even 8th place side. So better than mid-table side like Granada. So of course, as an underdog better, I'm interested in Granada, but probably will try my best to stay away from it because Barcelona's just running real hot right now. And it's a situation where they can probably put 3, 4, 5 goals on the board and not even think twice about it. And that'll, I think, wrap up this edition of the midweek European soccer betting. Thanks for joining me as always. I'm the real_G Warner on Twitter. Please hit the follow button. There are links below on this YouTube video. And thanks for coming in. I hope to see you again for this weekend. I'm going to end the stream now. Bye.